Time to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go!
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod, and I'm your host, Josh. And as we take the escape pod through space here, I wanted to take a chance to chat about all the latest Star Wars news that's been floating around the HoloNet. And one of those subjects being the Galactic Star Cruiser experience coming to Walt Disney World. Some things about Kylo Ren and Ben Solo recently revealed in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book series. And of course, the new Clone Wars trailer that just dropped for the returning series, which is happening on Disney Plus right around the corner from now. So let's get into that.
Another happy landing.
All right, so soon you'll have the chance to reserve a spot on a ultra immersive Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser in Walt Disney Resort, Florida. That is a new experience coming to Disney World some point in the future, and I'm blanking on the date, but that is kind of the next phase of developing Galaxy's Edge and the whole Star Wars kind of theme park resort experience. Which Disney, of course, has been cranking hard at over the last couple of years with developing Galaxy's Edge. And that news kind of dropped on a video just the other day or something. I'm losing track of time now. But we're going to take a look at this kind of behind-the-scenes video of what Galactic Star Cruiser is going to be about. If you Google search Disney Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel or whatever, you'll get a nice illustration of what it might look like if you arrive at the Disney Galactic Star Cruiser. Basically looks like a really fancy spaceport kind of drop-off area, similar to how you would be dropped off by a taxi at the airport, where it's got the overhang and everything like that, except a lot more slick, a lot more fancy, a lot more Star Wars, surrounded by trees. Kind of looks like reminiscent of the Endor shield kind of base of operations there, the bunker. So it kind of has that vibe, that same sort of architectural design to it, which is super cool. So let's take a look at the video and see what they have to say about it.
Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is a completely new type of experience. For the first time, we're going to invite guests to become the hero of their own Star Wars adventure, and you can do it in whatever way you like. They will live aboard a starship for 2 days and 2 nights. When guests arrive at Walt Disney World, they will go to this terminal, think of it as a small private cruise terminal, if you will, and you and your family will then be ushered into a launch pod. And this is a small capsule where you will then simulate the experience of blasting off into space. There will be a window overhead until you eventually see our ship, the Halcyon, in the distance. When the doors of the launch pod open and you emerge into the atrium, everything in the spaceship wants to reinforce that feeling of you're on a star cruiser in a galaxy far, far away. The cabins are unlike any place you will have stayed before. These are cabins of a Star Cruiser. Cabins can sleep up to 5 though, so you've got the bunk beds that look not unlike what we've seen Chewie sleep in the movies. We've got that exclusive window that shows a view out into space. Guests will be invited to participate in a variety of activities. For the first time, both adults and kids alike will get to wield a lightsaber and face off against a training remote. Every guest will be invited to take a tour of the bridge of the ship. So this is where the navigation systems are, this is where the defense systems are, so that training that you do as part of your bridge tour ultimately pays off as part of this much bigger galactic Star Wars story that you're a part of. guests will get to go on a planet excursion to the planet of Batuu to visit Blackspire Outpost, Galaxy's Edge. Guests will take an exclusive transport and they'll emerge straight out into the land. If you're a guest coming to Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, you're going to be a part of a story and live out your own Star Wars experience.
All right, wow, that is a lot to unpack there. So let's start off with the kind of arrival experience. So you get to this terminal that I was talking about. You know, it has the big banner, Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser on it. And, you know, you get helped out with your baggage by Disney employees. And they take you inside, which looks like a launch bay of some kind. I would imagine it to be very similar to what kind of the opening of Star Tours looks like. That's kind of just my own thoughts of what it could be experience-wise. And you know, somebody helps you out with the baggage and kind of like bringing you in and then taking you to what is basically just like an escape pod. So what did she call it now? Like a shuttle or something like that. But you know, it's definitely more of an escape pod like what we're in right now. And it's very like tube-like, cylindrical. And your bags are either with you or packed away in the ship, and you kind of stand there. There's some open windows above where you can see the stars, and it very much kind of simulates in a way that Star Tours would, like the Millennium Falcon ride if you've been on that. Personally, I've never been to Galaxy's Edge, but I've done extensive kind of, you know, research into the videos, and there's enough stuff out there online. I mean, you know, I've almost experienced it from like the screen of my computer. So, you know, having been to the Harry Potter lands multiple times at this point, and you know, I know it's probably beyond the realm of interest of some of you listeners out there. Unless you do love Harry Potter, then you know, that's awesome. But yeah, I love Harry Potter, and the parks are amazing. Like, it's just so kind of so perfectly well done in terms of immersion and such. But Galaxy's Edge has kind of tried to replicate that a lot, and because it's Star Wars and there's a very kind of consistent canonicity of like timeline and where things take place and all that stuff. The whole park is kind of designed around the sequel trilogy and like the First Order and the Resistance and all that stuff. So so you get into this shuttle, and the simulation, similar to Star Tours or this Millennium Falcon ride, will kind of like make you feel like you're flying through space, I guess, out of this like spaceport-ish area. And it'll take you to the Halcyon, which on the monitors and through the windows, you'll be able to see the ship called the Halcyon, which your escape pod, I guess, docks at, or your shuttle docks at. And the doors open, and you're all of a sudden in the hotel, like the Galactic Star Cruiser. Now, this is kind of I picture it kind of similar to the Hogwarts Express. If you've ever been to Universal Studios in Florida, there's 2 parks, and each park has part of the Harry Potter world. So now the reason why I keep bringing up Harry Potter is because this is very much drawing upon that kind of style of immersion. So if you go to the one park, you can go to, you see kind of like London, like a street of London, and you can go through, you know, the wall at the back of the oh my goodness, Harry Potter fans, don't kill me. I forget the name of the place, but is it the Leaky Cauldron? I think it's the Leaky Cauldron. So you go through the wall into Diagon Alley, and you see basically Diagon Alley and Ollivander's wand shop and this and that, and then you see Gringotts Bank, and that's a big huge ride in itself. But the whole thing is very immersive. Like, you go through London and the hidden wall, and you're in that world, right? You can also go to King's Cross Station on the London strip of the side of the world, and go to the Hogwarts Express and you can go through the hidden kind of like the invisible pillar or well, the hidden pathway, I guess, through the brick pillar into the platform, and it kind of has this magical effect where people can see you kind of through a reflection mirror, and it makes it look like you're actually walking through the wall, which is insanely cool. And you get there, and the Hogwarts Express has like all the steam and everything coming out. It's super kind of like showcasing like those key moments that you get in the films when like Harry sees the Hogwarts Express for the first time, and the music is going, and it kind of like swells up, and it's so cool. And that train is a working train. So you get on the train and you get into a room. You're kind of locked in the room, kind of like a roller coaster. And through the window, you see, if you've ever been on like flying over California or whatever, or soaring over California, I think it is. You'll kind of get the idea, but it's kind of like it's kind of simulating you in the train traveling to Hogwarts. Now, of course, the ride is way shorter than if you were to actually take a train from King's Cross Station to Hogwarts. But you see kind of like parts of, like, you feel the train pulling off, and then you see parts of London, and you see parts of the countryside, the English countryside. You see parts of the tour, the journey that goes to the castle, basically. And then when you finally pull up in Hogsmeade, you see, of course, the surroundings of Hogsmeade. And when you get off the train, you're actually in the other park. So to use this train, you actually need to have the Park Hopper Pass to actually get to the other park via the Hogwarts Express. Now, it's actually an awesome shortcut because both Harry Potter parks are at the back of each respective park that they're in, kind of like Disneyland and California Land. To walk from the very end of California Adventureland, where you got the big, huge Ferris wheel, all the way to the end of Disneyland, where you have, oh my goodness, what's at the back of Disneyland? Whatever's at the back of Disneyland there. I think it's the, oh my goodness. This is going to bother me. Let me look this up. Disneyland map. Okay. Okay. So you get to the back of Disneyland, and it's the Toontown, of course. Toontown. So, So walking from the Ferris wheel to Toontown is like it's a lengthy walk. At Universal Studios, at Universal Studios Florida is actually quite a bit bigger than Disneyland in California. So if you were to go from, the Harry Potter world at the back of one park all the way down to the middle where they kind of meet up, and then up again to the next park, because they're completely separate, and then the jointed area is not in the middle, it's at the beginning of both parks, right? It would take you a while to kind of go around, right? So they've just kind of bridged them together by using this Hogwarts Express, and it's so cool because it gets you from one park and one area in that world to another area in that world, while keeping the illusion completely seamless. So you don't need to be walking through Simpsons Land and whatever else, or Dr. Seuss World or Marvel Land or whatever, to get to the other Harry Potter park. So if you want to completely immerse yourself in Harry Potter that entire time, you can totally do that. And if you're going to Disney World to immerse yourself in Star Wars, you will be able to do that. That is the whole idea around this Galactic Star Cruiser experience. So once you're aboard the Galactic Star Cruiser, which this shuttle is acting like a transport between one area and another, and chances are on the outside it's probably nothing more than like an actual like train or a roller coaster kind of thing that goes through a tunnel or whatever. But I can imagine it actually being not too far of a distance away from the actual what will be the Galactic Star Cruiser, which you will never see the outside of. You're always going to see the inside of it. The outside will always be allusion to through the screens and the viewports of this shuttle, which is taking you there. So from the outside, you think it's this giant ship, but once you're there and you're inside, you're only ever going to see the inside. Every single window in this place is going to be very similar to the shuttle, where you're looking out into space and you're looking out into the stars, and you never once will see a single bit of real sunlight as long as you're in this experience. It's awesome. Like that's like crazy cool. You'll get inside, the doors to your shuttle will open. There's going to be stormtroopers walking around. There's going to be droids and characters. I see a picture of Chewbacca like carrying some crates across the room as well. So, you're going to have the haggling of the stormtroopers. I don't know what they're going to be doing aboard the ship there, the stormtroopers, but, I can imagine they have like a schedule where every day or throughout the week they have kind of like Imperial transports arriving at the ship and, questioning people and stuff like that. And they're going to turn it into a whole game where it's like you have to kind of hide maybe or something. I don't really know. But the entire idea of being on this Galactic Star Cruiser is not just to have a hotel, which is Star Warsy. Like it's an experience. Like, from the moment that you get dropped off at this place, you are part of that world now. Like you are a Star Wars character in your own respect, going to this ship, the Halcyon, and you are living out kind of a 1 or 2 day lifestyle on this Star Wars in the Star Wars world, right? So the rooms feel very similar in size to maybe Attack of the Clones, kind of Jango Fett, Boba Fett's cabin area on Kamino. I see a few bunk beds, which look like the beds that they had in the Millennium Falcon, kind of like cabin crew beds sort of thing. So it's very, very, cabin crew. Not to say that the beds won't be comfortable. I'm sure, they'll have the most comfortable beds possible. In fact, I see a little private bathroom there down the hallway, and all the doors, mind you, will be super Star Warsy. They'll be able to slide and make the noise probably even, and do the little hiss and like all that. That'd be awesome. All the lighting is like that flat lighting interior built in kind of to the wall. The aesthetics are so cool. If you have a chance to look at this video on YouTube, it's they've got some crazy cool concept artwork. There's what is this area here? Oh yeah, if you look at any of the windows, you'll be able to see kind of planets as you. I guess the Halcyon, is like a star cruise, almost like a luxury experience sort of thing where people can kind of see the galaxy. As we've seen, from Canto Bight, people enjoy life. It's not always about war and everything. We saw yachts and all that stuff, and people kind of pleasuring themselves by using their money and having a good time on this kind of poker gambling planet. So, people in Star Wars, it's not always about the fighting and all that. It's not always about Jedi and whatever. It's sometimes it's about normal people as well. And this experience is supposed to replicate like you literally going to the Star Wars galaxy and living life on this Star Cruiser. And then once in a while interacting with First Order intrusions and possibly, taking part in resistance activities or whatever. If you ever watched Star Wars Resistance, a lot of the people on that show, a lot of the passengers aboard the Colossus are kind of sucked into the Resistance's kind of their actions, their activities, I guess, by the end of the second season, because they end up making that choice. But a lot of them are just aboard the ship as the ship kind of gets involved with the Resistance when they encounter First Order things going on, and that's they're haggling natives on a planet and whatever. So I can imagine maybe the Resistance getting involved as well, where you kind of have to complete a mission as a ship or something like that, or maybe as a cabin crew. Maybe your family or something like that has to do a particular thing on the ship or whatever. You have a task for the day, which it might be a fun activity to do. So there's also a lightsaber simulator thing aboard this ship, which is kind of crazy. I have no idea how they're going to do this, but the concept artwork clearly shows a kid with a lightsaber, like a real working lightsaber, and these bots in the wall shooting lasers at them. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm very curious to know how it's going to. There's a bunch of people crowded around a table with some crew workers on the ship, like a hollow table ish kind of thing, very similar to what we see in technology throughout the original trilogy and the sequels, where it's like a laser display on a table, like a glassy tabletop, and even has some hologram looking things floating above it. And it looks like it might be kind of like a game or something like that, possibly. But it's supposed to kind of drive immersion of helping out aboard the bridge of the ship, because you can actually visit the bridge of the ship and see out the massive viewports. And maybe the captain's going to give you a job to do. You'll maybe have to shoot down TIE fighters or do some astrogation stuff. This is like a physical experience of what you could consider being a role play game. If you've ever played a role playing game before, this is basically just the same idea, except like living it out every day for however long you're staying at this place. I imagine it's not cheap. Along with all of this stuff, of course, there's, it wouldn't be Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser if you couldn't take an excursion to Batuu. So naturally, the same way that you kind of arrived at the ship in the first place from the terminal, a very similar setup will happen where it'll simulate you in a shuttle going to Batuu. And I imagine you'll be able to go whenever you want to take a shuttle there, but I can imagine you getting into the shuttle, and because it's probably a bit more lengthy away from the park of Batuu, I imagine that the ride that'll kind of take you there might be a bit more interesting. So they might actually have to strap you in similar to Star Tours, and it will simulate you probably going into hyperspace and coming out above the planet's orbit, and maybe even like have a mini Star Tours experience along the way where you're getting chased down by TIEs or something like that, right? And then eventually you'll be docking at a terminal in Batuu. And seamlessly, as the doors open to your ship, you'll be able to walk out and into kind of the Batuu marketplace and such. So I imagine they'll be building onto Batuu. If they have not built it already, I have not looked into this, but they might have built kind of an area already that kind of has a reserved area where this shuttle will be docking in the park for you to kind of exit and seamlessly experience walking off the shuttle into the Batuu kind of Disney park area. So that is insanely cool. I guess I don't know where this Galactic Star Cruiser hotel and terminal is going to be. I know Disney World owns a ton of land and all that stuff, but I imagine it'll be a little bit further from, like, not crazy far, but close enough that if it was a regular hotel, chances are they'd have a shuttle going to the front doors of the park. Whereas if you're staying in this Galactic Star Cruiser hotel experience, you basically have your own VIP shuttle ready to go whenever you want, basically, that'll take you to Batuu to spend your day at Star Wars Land. So if you want a fully kind of Star Wars style vacation trip in universe, in kind of a full immersed experience, this kind of takes it one step above what Harry Potter world, the Wizarding World, has been doing this whole time. Because so far you can't really get a Harry Potter in universe experience by staying at like a Hogwarts castle or something like that. Or maybe the Leaky Cauldron. That would be amazing if you could. But so far that has not been developed, or it's not in the plans, I guess. This kind of takes that one notch higher of saying like, hey, yeah, we built this entire immersed Star Wars world in both Star Wars parks. However, in the Florida park, we're going to be doing something special where it's not just bigger. Batuu is not just bigger here, but you can stay at our starship Halcyon and have an immersive experience just, when you're not even in the park. It's so weird because like a lot of people, they go to the Star Wars, they go to Disney World to have a Disney World experience, of course. But I mean, who goes to Disney World and stays at the hotel all day, right? Like, I mean, nobody. I can see this being something to drive people to go for that Star Wars experience. A lot of people already have been going just to see the Star Wars park, but and then their entire vacation, because they've been to Disney World or Disneyland so many times, their entire vacation time has been spent in Galaxy's Edge, just redoing the Millennium Falcon ride over and over again, or just endlessly exploring the shops day after day and maybe buying more stuff or whatever. This kind of is a way to maximize that experience. So if you're going just for Star Wars, this kind of is that extra sort of like tip of the hat, going like, hey, we know you're coming for Star Wars. Let's give you something extra. Let's give you some more space to explore, some more things to do on the side. Just not to just burn the time, but to have a whole second experience of Star Wars inside the Disney park. So again, this is called Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and it is a 2-night adventure. So I guess guests will be kind of, it's a flat rate, I would imagine. This is all just my assumptions. I would imagine it's a flat rate for a family of like 2, maybe 3, 4, whatever. It might be per guest and per age or whatever. But it's a 2-night adventure. So it's kind of specifically designed to be 2 days long of an experience. And it'll be kind of facilitating you in that time as you have access to all these things Star Wars. So now I know Bit 2 is not incredibly large. 2 days in Star Wars, like in the Galaxy's Edge alone, is probably enough time to see it all and do it all. But this kind of gives you just that extra little bit. So yeah, 2-night adventure at Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, and that is Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. I'm a huge Florida fan. I'm sorry to all you guys in California, but I've been to Disneyland 4 times, maybe. I think it's about 4 times now at this point. And I've been to Disney World twice. And honestly, I've been to Disney World once. I've been to Florida twice. And it's just an incredible experience. I think like once you try Disney World, there's just no going back to Disneyland without kind of, your expectations are just way higher at that point. And Disneyland, I don't want to say it's a letdown, but people who love Disneyland over Disney World, normally it's about the nostalgia. So if you're a huge nostalgia on Disneyland, totally get it. But yeah, for me, I'm a ride junkie, and I love the big things, and like this experience will not be coming to California. The land is just not there, and the space is not available. So this is, exclusive again to Florida, similar to how the Wizarding World, you only get the Diagon Alley London experience in that land in Florida. In California, they just have the Hogsmeade and the castle. So because of the vast space that they own over there, this is going to be exclusive to that park. So if you're a huge Florida fan, you're flying over that way, when this opens up, it's completely worth checking out. And, it's something that I think I'm going to be planning on doing eventually. It says online here, now this is just a rumor, but while it hasn't opened yet, the resort experience is rumored to cost upward of $3,000 per person for 2 days, which is insane. It includes the port visit to Galaxy's Edge, which will deliver you to Batuu, and naturally, I mean, $3,000. Oh my goodness, that is crazy. So if you have a family of like 4, this is probably for a lot of people not in the cards, but it is hopefully an experience that is like unreplicatable by any other means. Because let's be honest, this is 100% Star Wars immersion for the first time in history. Staying at a Star Wars hotel, which is basically a ship, and then being taken to the Star Wars land and Galaxy's Edge and all that. So that's insane. But yeah, $3,000 is a lot. Again, that's a rumor, so not to kind of like break the news or anything like that. All this is coming off of space.com website information that they published 9 hours ago as of this recording. And even though this video dropped a little while back, I just want to thank them for the rumors and for the facts that they kind of summarized off the video. So yeah, be sure to check out the video. It's on YouTube on the Disney Resort channel or the Disneyland channel or Disney something or another. Be sure to check out that and the artwork that they've released. So yeah, without further ado, let's chat some Clone Wars and check out this new trailer.
We have more than a dozen active battlefronts, and we are losing nearly every one.
Let's take a small squad behind enemy lines. If we're going to find intel, it'll be there. What squad are we taking in? Clone Force 99. They call themselves the Bad Batch. These guys are clones?
The cavalry has arrived!
The defective clones with desirable mutations. Let's get to work.
Remember, this is a stealth mission.
So much for stealth. I don't like the look of this. This is a trap.
They don't stand a chance. We're going down!
Let's finish what we started.
All right, so Clone Wars around the corner, coming back for the final season. The first episode is airing in a couple days on February 21st. The last episode will, I guess, air 12 weeks later, assuming to be May 8th if the schedule doesn't change. That's also assuming that it continues to be a weekly release constantly through that period. But this is going to be a 12 episode count season, similar to the count of season 6, I guess. Season 6 also had 13 episodes in season 6, but again, that was also an impartial kind of uncompleted season. If you didn't listen to the Clone Wars looking back and looking forward episode, I think it's the last one that was released. I'm not entirely sure about that, but if you have not kind of checked that out and listen to it in its full, I recommend you doing so. We get into all the uncompleted arcs of the Clone Wars, all the unfinished kind of threads, all the kind of previous ideas that are now going to be changed to accommodate this new final season. And of course, talking about all the episode arcs that were developed into reading material and such that is available right now, which still count as episodes to the show. So even though you can't watch them, you can still actually get your hands on them literally and digest the content. So that's kind of cool. It's very similar to how if you've ever watched Smallville, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. If you're not following our Twitter feed, you probably don't know this. If you are following our Twitter feed, then you may have seen me post, one or two times about Smallville. But it's honestly one of my favorite shows. And what that show did when it ended after the 10th season is they took advantage of the fact that the show's kind of philosophy was never to show Clark Kent in the Superman costume and never to have him flying and whatever. Which Tom Welling himself never did. It was a CG double when he did end up flying in the suit and all that. And when you do see him up close, it's either just a blue shirt or the shirt with the Superman logo but no red cape. So disappointing a lot of fans, even though we were told that it would never happen. A lot of fans still wanted it to happen, and it just never happened. So DC Comics published a season 11, an official season 11 of Smallville, which was available for a little while. I nabbed up all the paperback copies that I could find, and I think there's 9 volumes or something, or 8 volumes, one of the two. Anyway, it's kind of like a continuation of the story that they never, not that they didn't finish the show, like the show finished on a finale note, without ever getting canceled. But fans wanted more. So they're like, hey, let's make some more stories in form of comic book. So that's kind of what happened with Clone Wars when it was canceled, similar to how Firefly also, was canceled. And then now we've got a slew of comic books that have been kind of coming out over the years as they've gone by, but continuing the stories and all that. Clone Wars kind of adapted into a book and then a comic book, and all these are canon as well. And then we had a book that was published called Ahsoka, and it was kind of post Clone Wars, but following her story, utilizing elements of what would have been the season finale at the time, which is now getting finally animated and finished in the final season today. There's one little thing in the book that will contradict the new series or the new season, the final season. And it's the fact that the book clearly references her final duel with Darth Maul on Mandalore as having her with green lightsabers. Now, this might be kind of all in her head. She might think of her lightsabers. The hilt is the same, but she might think of them as green still just because she's always ever known them as green lightsabers. But Anakin has kind of gifted them to her with a little modification, and he's made them blue. So not too sure why they changed that, but whatever. Minor hiccup in the continuity of things, but nothing absolutely crazy. Excuse me for a second. Bit of a cough there. But yeah, so if you've not checked out that episode, go back and listen to that. But in regards to the final season, this new trailer is specifically focused around the Bad Batch arc. The Bad Batch arc is an arc that not a lot of people were happy that this didn't get made because it looked so cool. Basically, a bunch of mutant clones, almost like accidents kind of thing, each of them with desirable traits, mutations, I should call them. And they kind of formed this squad called Clone Force 99. Clone Force 99, of course, being named after Clone Trooper or Clone 99, who we've known from the earliest episodes of the show, who was 99 was a janitor who worked on Kamino, who was shot in the Kamino invasion by the Separatists. And there was he was holding Heavy's medal. Heavy developed a kind of a special relationship with Clone 99, gave him his award, and said he'd be back for that. And then, of course, he died on the Rishi outpost in the episode called Rookies. And later on, when Fives and Echo run into Clone 99 on Kamino again, he has a sad recall moment with having known Heavy as a friend and everything. And then Echo and Fives kind of realizes that he gave them him his medal. So of course, a very sad moment when this Clone 99 character died. Within heart, being like the rest of them, even though he was, a defect and a kind of warped and, a clone that the Kaminoans would have kind of gotten rid of, probably killed off at a young age. I don't know why they didn't, honestly. They're the kind of species that would, but I guess they figured, hey, we need a janitor. Let's just keep him and have him mop the floors. So, but in heart, he had the same heart that all the other soldiers had. He had a heart for, being with his brothers and dying in battle and stuff. And when he does die, when he tries to retrieve some equipment and everything, I guess his name kind of lived on amongst the clones as a bit of a legend or something, or a memory. And so Clone Force 99, I guess, was named after him, and unofficially also known as the Bad Batch. Bad Batch referring to batch of clones, or bad, bad as in defects, basically. The members are Crosshair, Tech, Wrecker, and Hunter. Now Hunter is their leader, and he wears a bandana around his head. Bit of a Rambo looking guy, I guess. And I'm forgetting what his mutation was. I think he had something to do with being like, he was very like ninja kind of ish. I think he had enhanced senses or something like that. He was basically like hyper aware of things and highly sensitive to I guess electromagnetic emissions or something like that. It was kind of a weird trait, but yeah, basically like 6th, 7th, 8th senses, basically kind of thing. So he had that going on. Crosshair was he got his nickname for he's the sniper of the group, and he's kind of, his mutation is kind of like, I guess it's insanely good aim. I don't really know. He's just crazy good at sniping, I guess, and yeah, that's kind of his deal. Tech, the next member, naturally he's their tech guy, their engineer, and his kind of abilities include any skills to do with technology and science and decryption and language translation and this and that, all that sort of stuff. He also looks a little different. He's a little like younger and a little thinner, and I think he talks a little differently too. Of course, you can watch these uncompleted story proxy episodes is what they call them, proxy animation episodes. You can watch those on I think it's the Lost Missions Blu-ray, or you can find them online on YouTube as well, I think. Anyway, the last member, his name's Wrecker, and he's kind of like the Hulk of their fighting force. And his mutation is basically insane strength, I guess. And that's pretty much his thing. So, all traits and abilities that you could consider like, cool, like almost like superpowers sort of thing to yeah, it's strange. And it's really cool that the Republic made like an actual squad out of it. Yeah. What I would really like to see is a Republic Commando squad take on the Bad Batch and see who actually wins. That's just in my head. I'm like, that would be super cool to see. But anyway, so this squad kind of pairs up with Commander Cody and Captain Rex, and they take on this this mission throughout the Bad Batch arc, and we'll see the results of that in the completed episodes of the final season, which is super cool. Something that we've been wanting to see for a long time. So finally, just want to talk about Kylo Ren, the Rise of Kylo Ren comics. Really quickly, they have been releasing a little bit more about Ben Solo's past. Now, the series it's a mini series that's almost over. There's 2 issues left to go. Charles Soule is involved with this, and as you know, Charles Soule is one of the guys that has been pumping out insanely cool Star Wars stories throughout the comics for a while now. If you're not completely familiar with his work, let me just kind of summarize a few things that he's done for you at Marvel. So he is involved with the brand new refreshed Star Wars series that takes place between episode 5 and 6. He is also part of the Empire Ascendant miniseries, I guess. And he's done a few other things. Let me see here. He's got some stuff. Return of Wolverine. If you're into a lot of the Marvel comics, he's done a lot of stuff for them. But he did the Darth Vader series that takes place after episode 3. So he was a huge part in that, and I think he was also involved with the series that took place after episode 4 as well. Which was 4 volumes. So, there you go. So he heavily involved with the Darth Vader stuff, all of which have been super cool to read. Yes, he was involved with those ones. So the Poe Dameron comics, I think that he was involved with those. Some Daredevil comics. He's a big name at Marvel, and they got him on this miniseries to construct Ben Solo's kind of fateful shift in allegiance. And a few things actually came up which have a lot to do with The Last Jedi and all the flashbacks that we saw to his kind of experience with Luke in the hut, and or Ben Solo's duel with Luke Skywalker and the destruction of the temple and all that stuff. So it's been interesting to kind of see the highlights kind of pop online as they've been coming on. I'm actually not keeping up with this until the volume comes out, because I always wait for the paperback volumes. It's just I just like the way that they look on my shelf rather than having boxes of comics. But going over the different kind of things, I don't want to spoil it, and I know the show's not the series isn't over yet, but from what I've seen, just kind of in a non-spoiler sense, is that things don't appear to be what they appear to be in the films. So like the way that everything is in the films is kind of like what we thought might have happened in a very similar way to how Last Jedi kind of shifted our expectations or I guess flushed our expectations in a different direction, and said, hey, this is actually what's going on. These comics kind of do that a little bit. It's kind of bringing a new light to who we know as Ben Solo, and who we all know at this point to be very kind of shaken in what he's been doing this entire time. It only takes Rey stabbing him in the gut and the memory of his dad to come back to him, and I guess his mom partially dying until she fully kind of goes into the Force when he dies. It only takes like those 3 things all at once to kind of break him and kind of snap him out of his dark side allegiance. I guess only is a bit of a light word. It takes those 3 things to do that, but he's not gone. He's not a lost cause, and he's not lost forever kind of thing. Which I like the idea that he was redeemed. I really love. That's one of my favorite parts out of the most recent film, is that he was brought back in a way. I don't like that he died, but that's, I think, because he's the only character that I really actually started to enjoy the moments of throughout the sequel trilogy quite a bit by the time it wrapped up. So not to say all the other characters I dislike them or anything like that. That's not the case. That was kind of the one that stuck out to me as a favorite of like the newer cast. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, just figured out to cover that real quick. That series is called The Rise of Kylo Ren, Star Wars comic series. 3 out of 5, I believe it's 5 or will be, and you can pick those up at the comic store near you right now, or online or on digital or whatever. So anyhow, that is all I got for today. Yeah, let's get into the outro, shall we? All right, so if you have not been following our Twitter feed, follow our Twitter feed. It's SW Escape Podcast. Shoot us some feedback, subjects that you want us to chat about in these coming months, which will not have a lot of Star Wars to chat about. I've got some subjects in mind, and if there's any additional that you have suggestions for, let us know. Trying to get some more guests on the show in the progress of doing that. And of course, we'll be continuing with our series with Diego on Clone Wars. However, it will overlap with the new episodes coming out on a weekly basis, which I'll be trying to arrange roundtables for that. So a bit of an overlap there, but the Diego Clone Wars watching chronologically series will of course be continuing. Despite the slight break, we plan to go forward with all those plans into the year. And shoot us an email, shoot us a voice memo with maybe a question or something at theescapepod@outlook.com, and we'll be happy to play that and address it on the show. But it's great to see the listener base grow. And I just appreciate all of you guys sticking around to listen episode after episode. So thanks again for listening. Once again, I'm your host, Josh, and you're listening to Star Wars Escape Pod. May the Force be with you.